This podcast is brought to you in part by Coke, Am First, Buffalo Wild Wings, Southern Immediate Care, Central State Bank, and Guaranteed Labels.
Hey, it's Bubba, hey, Bubba, Bubba on the lake. This is Bubba, hey, Bubba, Bubba on the lake. Yeah, he's got it going on. Gotta come and check this. Talking people, talking places from Bubba's perspective. This is Bubba, hey, Bubba on the lake. Hey, Bubba, yeah, Bubba on the lake. Let's go.
Welcome back. I am your semi-retired, mostly washed-up host, formerly of the Rick and Bubba Show, and now host of Bubba on the Lake, Bill Bubba Bussey. Thank you all for punching up our podcast and giving it a listen. Boy, we got a busy program here today. It's a little bit heavy dealing with basketball. It is March Madness, all that going on. Ryan Brown from the Next Round Live will be with us to discuss the Sweet 16. We're going to talk with Hunter Bussey, my son, who set up our contest at BubbaOnTheLake.com, our own bracket challenge. We had over 700 people sign up for that, which we were very excited. We were hoping to get 100. So that has gone very well. We'll get you all the details about that. Of course, we're broadcasting, or I should say podcasting, from the Mela Yella Studio. How about that? I like that. The Mela Yella Studio. You know I love Mela Yella, so glad to have them as a sponsor here. And we want to remind everybody about the website. BubbaOnTheLake.com. You can go right there, get all the details of things going on, episodes of the podcast. You can see contests going on, and we're going to have more of those. And folks, I've got to ask you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications because you don't want to miss anything, any announcement the show has that we want you to get. Also, we want you to follow us on our Instagram page, Bubba on the Lake. All of these are very important. The whole algorithm and how everything is monetized and set up is very dependent on you going and subscribing to social media, liking and following, listening to the podcast. All that works together. And many of you have sent email and you want us to do some things live. You want us to do TV. And all of that, as I explained earlier, is going to be dependent on you. We've got to get these numbers up. Some of the numbers are kind of a little odd to me in that we have like 50,000 followers on X, but we don't have near that many people subscribing to the podcast or whatever. So I think a little of that is just we're not, really into how this works, and maybe I'm not pushing it enough. Maybe I'm not explaining it enough. But we do need you to go and always like and subscribe and turn on the notifications so that we can tell you when something's going on. Very important. So, as I said, we have Ryan Brown. He'll be along. Hunter's going to be along. Betty informed me she has a bracket ready. We'll have to look into that. But I cannot go too far without also discussing the JFK documentary, or the documents, I should say, that came out this week. Over 64,000 of those. Did you get that? 64,000. We all were expecting to find out who the shooter was, right? And that, I was. I know some of y'all were. When Trump said he was going to declassify all these, I thought, oh, this is great. This is great. We'll finally get to the bottom of all this. Well, 64,000 documents, and we really don't have much to say about it. There's really nothing in it. There's some tidbits that are interesting, but nothing like, hey, there was a second shooter, or hey, we know who paid Oswald to do it. Maybe we were naive to think that was going to be in there, right? I mean, if you're hiring assassins, you're probably not going to put it in a memo. That's just, I know. That's just, it kind of makes sense, right? I don't know what we were expecting. But there was some odd things in here. Other than we put this Social Security number of a few people out that didn't really care for it. There was this strange memo by Arthur Schlesinger Jr. He was a special assistant to President Kennedy and was considered an aide and a friend. He wrote a memo to the president worried that CIA officers stationed in embassies around the world were undermining the State Department's authority, according to a new unredacted portion of a 1961 memo to the president. The 15-page memo entitled CIA Reorganization was already public. This was already out there, but it was also included in this document dump. It was written, and it was shortly after the failed Bay of Pigs invasion, and it raised concerns that the CIA, its autonomy and its power was maybe getting off track a little bit. He used the term, he said, many of the characteristics of the CIA is that of a state within a state. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, you remember General Eisenhower, when he became president, his farewell speech to the country. Now, this is a military guy who loved military toys, right? I mean, he won the European theater for us. And he said the military-industrial complex, we got to tap the brakes on these guys a little bit. They're building stuff. You know, the U.S. government doesn't build anything. They contract everything out. So you've got these companies that have to spend a lot of money in research and development to have all these cool weapons that we have to try to keep America safe, to try to protect our soldiers. And they're sitting there, you know, they need to sell these products to the U.S. government and make money on it for their shareholders. You know how this all works. And sometimes are we buying stuff we don't need? Sometimes are we paying too much for it? He seemed to think that we needed to tap the brakes on the military-industrial complex. Now, this is former General Eisenhower, who was president and who said this on his way out. He felt so important about it. Well, you tie that into what the Schlesinger memo said, and he felt like that the CIA was out of control, that they were a state within a state. They were operating clandestinely, as they have to, but they were using that clandestine shield to do their own policy, where the policy of the United States should come from the president, and everybody works off of that. So that is a bit concerning, considering some of the theories that we've had over the years about what actually happened and who planned it. But overall, it was just a big nothing burger. I mean, there was no smoking gun. And again, maybe our expectations were a little off on that. But it's still one of the most interesting things in American history. I have toured Dealey Plaza. I also toured Ford's Theater, where Lincoln was assassinated. I don't know, it's some kind of weird thing I got going. It's really my love for history more than assassinations. But the Dealey Plaza thing, I can answer a couple of questions that I know firsthand. If you ever go there and you go up in the school book depository, they have a museum there, and they have the front page of the Dallas paper like a week before and then a week after, and they have a little video that Walter Cronkite narrated. It's very interesting. It's a great visit if you're in that city. And they even have a horse-drawn carriage tour where you get to go and follow the parade route. And I'll be honest with you, when you're in that horse-drawn carriage and you take that left-hand turn to go down in front of the school book depository, it sends chills up your back. I'll be honest with you, it was eerie. And but looking out the window that Oswald was in is sealed off, just like it was when it happened. But you can get in the window right next to it, same vantage point. It is not a hard shot for a car moving away. Any deer hunter in my state could make that shot. It was probably about 70 yards. And being that the target was moving away from you makes it an easier target than if they're going to the side. Now, I hate to talk about targets when we're talking about a man's life and a president, but you know what I'm talking about. I don't mean to be raw on that fact, but we're just discussing the ballistic situation here. So I don't think it was a hard shot at all for Oswalt to make. And I have seen his brother in a documentary showing his Marine scorecards from his time on the firing range, and he was a very good shot. Now, I've heard people say, "Oh, it was a terrible shot. Couldn't have done it." Well, that's not true. The scorecards, the highest you could get was 50 on the test that they did. And he consistently scored 48, 49, 50. And we know that Oswalt took a shot at a general who was sitting at his sitting at his breakfast nook, and wounded him because the bullet hit the frame of the window. So there's no doubt Oswalt was a nut and he was out to shoot somebody, okay? There's just no doubt about that. Now, why he was there, how he got a job there, that close to the president driving by, it has to be one of the craziest dumb lucks of all history, or it was a very planned, organized effort. And I look at all this, I bounce around. We just can't find that bridge to somebody else. There's plenty of people who wanted to take a shot at the president. The Kennedys had double-crossed the mafia. They had tried to assassinate Castro. He had threatened them back. We know we were in the Cold War with the Russians. So, there was a lot of people. And if Oswalt had not shot him, there may have been somebody else further down the parade route ready to go. Who knows? But he did not get along with L.B. Johnson, Lyndon Baines Johnson, who became president. Johnson had the most to gain by that assassination. He became president. By the way, did y'all hear in the document dump, and I don't even know if this is true or not. Hunter brought it to me and I listened to it. It's a recorded phone call between President Johnson and Mrs. Kennedy several weeks or months after the assassination. Did y'all hear this? Where he's basically saying, "I heard you came to town, but you didn't come see me, and I'm gonna give you a spanking if you don't do that next time." Little uneasy by today's standards. In 1960, maybe not. I don't know. I don't even know if the thing is real or not. So I'm counting on one of you to drop me email and say, "Hey, that was real," or totally made up, because it was a good one if it was made up. It really didn't say anything that we would go, "Oh, there's the missing piece." But it was just creepy. It was just weird. And I don't know. I don't know. You've heard rumors about him and, his deals too. So I don't know. It's just the whole thing is very strange. And I think that's why it has captivated the public and the imagination of the public for so long. And sadly, we still do not have any credible answers other than the obvious one we already have, that a crazy man named Oswalt shot him from the school book depository on the 6th floor. So that's kind of where that ends. But we'll keep an eye on that. Maybe some more things will come out as they continue to declassify some of these documents. Well, we got a lot to cover, folks. Ron Brown's going to be on the show from the Next Round Live. Hunter's going to check in, tell you a little bit about our bracket contest. And, of course, we will check in with the lovely Betty Lou, who says her bracket is now ready to go now that we're at the Sweet 16. Stay with us, folks. A lot to cover. You're listening to Bubba on the Lake.
It's Bubba on the Lake. Bubba on the Lake.
This is Coke Zero Sugar. Could I be the best Coke ever? Try and taste with your ears. Hear those bubbles? Imagine them tingling on your tongue. Fizzy deliciousness. Listen to that cascading liquid. A mouth-watering waterfall. Irresistibly tasty. Zero sugar. Crisp, refreshing, and ice cold. Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Try and decide.
The perfect checking account does not exist. At least, not at a bank. At AmFirst, you can get no minimum balance or monthly fees, an instant issue debit card, and free checks with unlimited check writing. But who doesn't want more? like a rewards program you'll actually use, and convenient digital tools that make it easy to manage your account from anywhere. That's what you'll find at AmFirst. Only available for qualifying members. AmFirst is federally insured by the NCUA.
You're listening to Bubba. Whoa. Bubba on the Lake.
All right, folks, we're back, and we're very fortunate to have with us Ryan Brown from Next Round Live again. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm phenomenal, Bubba. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I hope people listened to your predictions before. If they did, they could have made a lot of money.
That's the first time anybody's ever said that. I think I gave you 3 potential upsets, 2 of them hit, and it hasn't been, to my defense now, or not to my defense, I guess this is further echoing what you said there. This has been a very low upset tournament. It has not been upset riddled. So getting 3 upsets, 2 out of 3 probably was not too bad in this tournament.
Well, Ryan, as we're talking now, we are headed into the Sweet 16 this weekend. And as you said, you nailed 2 out of the 3 upsets. My bracket is not in good shape. I'll be honest with you. On the Bubba on the Lake Challenge, I'm like 400. So I'm in the middle of the pack. But I will say this. My predictions for the Final Four are still intact. So the people that I thought would get there are still moving along. Ryan, what are the big stories coming out of this? Are you surprised the SEC is doing as well as it's doing?
A little bit surprised just because it's at a historic level. We've never had 7 teams from one conference in the Sweet 16. The SEC had already equaled and better. They'd already equaled the all-time number of wins by any conference in a single NCAA tournament by the second round, and they've since bettered it. So, I mean, we're at historic levels. You know, anytime you have a best conference in the country, everybody just assumes, well, if a team can survive that, they'll do well in the NCAA tournament. And just really historically, evidence may not have supported that. So to see the NCAA tournament match what we saw all regular season, where obviously the SEC looked like the best conference in the country, that has been interesting to say the least. I mean, it is. I mean, to see those two coincide the way it historically has at that rate has been pretty remarkable.
Well, let's talk about a couple of those teams. We'll just start in what I call the upper left-hand bracket. That has Auburn and Michigan playing. How do you see that one shaking out?
Well, you know, Michigan's got 2 big men. They've got 2 7-footers, and Trey Donaldson, that's former Auburn Tiger. That has been kind of the formula to make Auburn uncomfortable. Have a little bit of size inside to try to negate what Janai Broome can do for you. Well, Creighton was able to do that to a certain extent. Their problem was their guards could not stay with Todd Pettiford, the talented Auburn freshman, and he was able to score 23. So Auburn now is able to make you pick your poison a little bit. If you want to try to sell out and shut down Janai Broome, you know, how are you going to be able to defend Auburn's guards? And that's the challenge for Auburn, or for challenge in facing Auburn, as can Michigan both throw that size on the inside at Auburn and also have the defensive guard play to shut Auburn down. So I think you know, that's your classic battle there with Michigan. And Dusty May, the new Michigan coach, this guy's been really good in the NCAA tournament. He took Florida Atlantic to the Final Four. That's how he cashed in on this job. So that's a guy that knows his way to the Final Four.
So let's jump over and look at Alabama. They're playing BYU. I'm really not up on BYU.
Well, let me help you with BYU. So Kentucky coach Mark Pope was the coach of BYU last year before Calipari left for Arkansas, and Pope got the Kentucky job. He left behind some of his staff and some of his players, and the same exact system he's running right now at Kentucky is the same system they're running at BYU. They're just not doing it with Kentucky-level athletes. At times this year, they've been a better shooting team than Kentucky. But if you go look at Alabama's performance against Mark Pope's system at Kentucky, Alabama performed very, very well. They won a high-scoring game at Rupp Arena. They won a game going away at Coleman Coliseum, and then they ran Kentucky out of the gym in the SEC tournament in Nashville. So it's a system that Alabama has had a lot of success against, and that's basically the same exact system BYU is running right now. with lesser talent. So it would seem like it's a really good matchup for Alabama. The one thing that would hurt Alabama is if you catch BYU on that historically good shooting night, they will be difficult to knock out. But the same could be said of Alabama. When Alabama is red hot shooting their threes, which they have not been for a couple of weeks, Alabama's almost impossible to beat. So I think from a stylistic standpoint, this is a matchup Nate Oates would much rather face than, for instance, St. Mary's they faced in the round of 32 that really, really slows it down and limits possessions. I think Alabama would much rather be in a game that goes up and down the court.
Ryan, we want you to be careful while you're driving out there, too. We got just a little bit of flutter that time. And look, we're just glad to get Ryan. He's in high demand right now. You can imagine this time of year. So, if we have to get him going to the grocery store, we'll take him, right? I mean, come on.
So I'm going to the golf course, of course. Do I need to repeat anything? Did you get?
No,
we got my conversation.
We got most of it. There was just a wrinkle or two in there. Are you a little surprised at Ole Miss? Talk to me about them. A number 6 seed going in. Here they are playing Michigan State.
Well, when you go to an NCAA tournament like this, so much of it is going to be based on the coaching, the level of coaching. And Chris Beard is a guy that took Texas Tech to the Final Four. And that's a school that is not used to going to Final Fours. So he took Texas Tech to the Final Four, and that's what got him the Texas job. Now, there was a personal situation that Texas released him because of. So this is a guy that historically has been a tremendous coach in the NCAA tournament. The reason being is Ole Miss plays very, very good defense. I won't bore your listeners with the full description on this, but there's a basketball analytics site. Ken Pomeroy is the guy that developed it. It's called the Ken Pom site. Every coach in America, every basketball coach in America, you'll get that reference Ken Pom.
Yep.
Since 2002, every single national champion has been rated 40 of their adjusted offense and the top 25 of their adjusted defense rankings.
Well, Ryan, that one was a little rough. I think you must have gone over the mountain.
Style that is a national championship style. Oh, no. You got me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bubba?
Yeah, go ahead. We got you now.
All right. He coaches a style that is a national championship style. He's just done it at schools that haven't traditionally been national championship schools like Texas Tech and Ole Miss. So his coaching style is a style that can win a national championship. Can he do it at Ole Miss? I don't know, but he's already got him in the Sweet 16. That's deeper than Ole Miss historically almost has ever gone.
Yeah, I mean it's new ground for them, but again, the SEC is showing that tough schedule is really paying off. Florida and UConn had a knockdown drag-out game. It looked more like a national championship or Final Four game. The Gators advance. They have Maryland coming up. How about Kentucky and Tennessee? We've got two SEC. We know one SEC team is going to advance to the Elite Eight, and unfortunately, one of them has no opportunity because somebody's going to win this game.
So this is a fascinating game because Tennessee is obviously a better team than Kentucky. I don't think anybody's going to make the argument that Tennessee's not the better team. Yet, Kentucky is 2-0 this year versus Tennessee. And that makes you wonder, has Kentucky found something that matches up well for them against Tennessee and Tennessee simply can't counter? The other aspect of this game is Kentucky was 2-0 against Tennessee, and they're probably playing their best basketball of the season right now, especially defensively. They have improved their defense tremendously. So you're asking, on one hand, Kentucky to beat Tennessee 3 times in a season, which is obviously very difficult to do. But on the other hand, you're asking Tennessee to do something they haven't done. That's beat Kentucky when Kentucky's probably playing their best basketball of the season right now. Fascinating matchup. I agree 100% with you. Good news is the SEC advances no matter what. Bad news for Tennessee is you're playing a team that has had your number this year, and they're probably playing their best basketball of the season right now.
Over on the other side of the bracket, Texas Tech and Arkansas. Arkansas, I think, is the lowest seeded team still in the Sweet 16. I may be wrong, but I know they came in as a number 10.
Right. Yep.
But boy, they're playing good at the right time.
Well, they've gotten healthy finally, especially Boogie Fland, who's one of their best players that they feared might be out for the season. he was able to fight back and has played almost starters minutes. They had said coming into the tournament that he probably played 10 to 12 minutes. He's played almost starters minutes for them so far. John Calipari used to get tagged as the guy that just went and recruited a bunch of talent, rolled the balls out, and let everybody play. He has shown over the years he's not that guy, that he is a more of an X's and O's guy than he gets credit for. And I think he showed that this weekend. Bubba, he had to be one of the greatest programs of all time, Kansas, Hall of Fame coach Bill Self, and then one of the greatest coaches of all time, Rick Pitino, Hall of Fame coach himself, just to get to this point. And he did that. He his X's and O's out X's and O'd Bill Self and Rick Pitino. That's extremely difficult to do. I guess if there's a Cinderella in this tournament, it is Arkansas. But it's hard to think that way since they're from the SEC. But you're right. They're the 10th seed. They're the worst-seeded team that's still sticking around. And it's a credit to John Calipari. He's been able to do that. But the fact they've gotten healthy is a big reason why. And they've gotten healthy at the right time. And that's another team like Kentucky. They're playing their best basketball of the season right now.
Let me ask you about one more team, Duke. There was a thought, and you may even have mentioned this before, that they just haven't played that tough a schedule. But they are plowing through this so far. Are they producing like you thought they would?
Well, probably better than I thought they would. I mean, they've been dominant. A dominant first-round win, which no other one seed did. Auburn, well, let me say, a dominant first two rounds of wins, which no other one seed has done. Auburn struggled a little bit against Alabama State, won by 20. They beat Creighton by 12. Florida blew out their first-round opponent, but then they barely beat UConn, as you talked about a moment ago. Houston blew out SIU Edwardsville to start the tournament. And then they are in a fight with Gonzaga. Looked like they had never seen a press in their life before. They were fortunate to beat Gonzaga and move on. That has not been Duke. Duke absolutely dominated Mount St. Mary's to start this tournament. And then they ran Purdue, 9 seed, out of the building in round 2. You ask, is this what Duke is what I thought they would be? We didn't know, because the ACC has been such a bad conference all year. That's a rarity. But, to quote the late Dennis Green, NFL coach, they were who we thought they were. The ACC got in this NCAA tournament, and they have been terrible. They were all out in the first round except for Duke. So this is it's been a little bit surprising to me that Duke has been this dominant. But what you're waiting for is Duke to finally be challenged in a game. Are they trailing in the second half? Are they in a difficult moment? How do they react to that? Because, frankly, they have not seen a lot of that this year.
It is going to be an intriguing weekend. We'll have the Sweet 16 games, and then the winners will play again later this weekend for the chance to go to the Final Four. Ryan, any other team that really has caught your eye, or is there a game that you will not miss this weekend?
Well, I'm going to be traveling some. I'm going to try not to miss them all. I think if you like high scoring, the Alabama-BYU game is for you. That should be the highest scoring game of the round of 16. That's the two best offenses that will go head-to-head. If you like a contrast in styles, Tennessee and Kentucky right now are a contrast in styles, and that's the way that game is borne out when they played in the regular season this year. If you like exceptionally good defense, just hard-nosed defense versus hard-nosed defense, the Sweet 16, probably Michigan State would be the game you'd want to see. But if, in fact, you get Houston and Tennessee, that's two great defenses that would have to go head-to-head there. So it just depends on the styles you want. If those are the styles you want, those are the games you either need to watch in this first in the Sweet 16 in these first 2 days of it, or hope you get that matchup in the Elite Eight.
Well, Ron, I know you do sports for a living, so you're always into this. I'm kind of a mediocre basketball fan, although I do get into it more at tournament time. But there seems to be a lot of interest this year.
I agree. One thing you've got is, and some say this is bad for the tournament, is the big brands by and large have performed well, the big conferences. And a lot of people point towards the NIL and the transfer portal as contributing to that it's so easy for players to leave and they go to better teams. So it's going to be harder for the mid-major teams to participate because they lose their good players to the big teams like Alabama and Tennessee and Kentucky and Auburn. So that, might actually hurt the tournament moving on, but I don't think the networks ever mind the blue blood teams being the teams that are still around when we get to the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight.
Ryan, thank you. I know you're very busy. We'll check in with you again. We appreciate your input on the big basketball tournament.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We'll be right back.
You know one thing I love about Buffalo Wild Wings? You can get wings with any of their 26 sauces and dry rubs for takeout and delivery. That's like bringing an entire B-dubs home with you, which you can't do. I tried. I've knocked down so many walls, only to then be told to halt construction because I'm not zoned to be a sports bar. Kinda just looks like a big pergola or something because of the lack of walls. At least these 26 sauces and dry rubs are available to go. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
When you need urgent care, Southern Immediate Care is here for you. Illness doesn't follow a 9-to-5 schedule, so we offer support 7 days a week at convenient locations throughout Birmingham and Northeast Alabama, dedicated to serving all ages from children to adults. Southern Immediate Care offers occupational medicine services, including DOT physicals and testing. At Southern Immediate Care, your health is our top priority. Visit southernimmediatecare.com or call 205-409-2794.
Where's Bubba?
I'll tell you where. He's on the lake.
We're back at Bubba on the Lake, and I have on the line with me my son, Hunter Bussey. Hunter, how are you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
I got to give you credit. You came up with the idea for doing the bracket challenge. I had thought about it. I really hadn't got into it. You're really the basketball fan here in the family. And on a last-minute kind of Hail Mary kind of thing, we decided to do it. And I was hoping we'd have 100 people get in our bracket group. We ended up with 771. That's pretty awesome.
I was, when I told you about it, I was like, yeah, maybe we can get 80, 90, possibly 100, but who knows? A lot of people don't know how to do all these. And it turns out a lot of people wanted to join in on the fun. So I'm glad they did. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I have shown my expertise again in this. I'm currently ranked 436 out of 771, so I'm firmly entrenched in the middle of the pack. We've got some guys that are picking amazingly well. The top two people so far are at 99.9%. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty insane considering this. I mean, I feel like, you have the experts and the talking heads, but at the same time, it's basically luck is all it is. And so far, 1 and 2 are pretty tight at the moment, so it's gonna be close at the end. I have a feeling.
Well, my final 4 picks are still alive, but the rest of the bracket obviously is in shambles, and that's nobody's surprised by that here. No, I should have paid a little more attention, especially to Ryan Brown's upset picks, because he was dead on. And I just didn't. I'll tell you, I didn't buy the McNeese State hype. I'll just be honest with you. I thought Clemson was going to be bigger, stronger, and work their way through it, and that was not the case. And that was the beginning of my downfall.
Well, my factor in on that one, I had them beating Clemson, mainly because Will Wade was on his way out, and I think they were going to try to make a statement before he left. And the ACC with Clemson has not been that strong. They might be, maybe the second best team, but Duke had the reins on that conference. And honestly, the ACC is not that great this year. It's probably the weakest I think they've ever been. But yeah, I think a lot of people had that pick. I think it was 50-50. Now, a lot of people didn't have, everything happening with Arkansas, I know that, or Ole Miss beating Iowa State last night. That was quite the upset as well. So it's shaping up to be a tight race with our group for sure.
Yeah, the SEC well represented in Sweet 16, and we'll have to see how that plays out. But again, I want to congratulate you for coming up with the idea. I think this was a great idea. We've seen good response on it. And in future years, I hope we can grow this bigger and really get some serious prize money into it to make it really, really interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I feel like the more contests we do, the more hype will, go into it. And with this especially, I mean, it's March Madness. I mean, even if you know what's going on or you don't, it's still fun. especially with this big of a group. It really kind of just brings the whole, listing group together, as well as some newcomers as well. So, and shout out to Ryan Brown, by the way, too, in his upset picks. We are not worthy, sir. We are not worthy at all.
I know. And, your mom, the lovely Betty Lou, informed me a minute ago, she's got her bracket ready now that we're down to the Sweet 16. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll take a look at that a little later in the show and see how her picks are doing.
She probably has filled out a second chance bracket. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if she gets some money off of that one.
And one of the things tied into this promotion is that we're starting the Bubba on the Lake Contest Hall of Fame. And this is something I've wanted to do before. And, we're not going to have a contest for every goat roping that comes through town. But, some of these bigger events, we want to do that because I know people get into it and they want to participate in it. And I'm kind of digging it too. So we'll do that. And we're going to honor our winners with a place in the Bubba's Contest Hall of Fame. And we will, like I say, our prizes this time's merchandise and an appearance on the podcast. But, with these kind of numbers, if we gin this up a little bit more, I think we can get a sponsor and get some serious money on this and really make it fun for everybody.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree 100%. Especially when we can get, like you're saying, some bigger names in there. It'll really make it really fun, but very interesting at the same time. So excited to see what the future holds with these.
All right, I'm going to pick your brain right quick. Sweet 16, is there a particular game of interest?
I mean, obviously, with us being Auburn fans, Auburn Michigan is going to be a fun watch. But that keep an eye out for that Ole Miss Michigan State matchup. Ole Miss has been quiet all year, and they have a good coach with Chris Beard over there. I believe he was at Texas Tech when we went to go watch Auburn in the Final Four that year in Minnesota. And I think they played in the championship game against Virginia and ended up losing in overtime. But that's going to be a fun watch, I think. I think it would be cool for Ole Miss to have the upset there against Michigan State and Palm Izzo, but you never know. You never know what will happen. It's March, so we'll see.
And a little bit on the sad side for us, the Jack State Gamecocks ended their run in the NIT with a loss at California Irvine. And but what a great season for them. And Coach Ray Harper, he notched his 600th victory. You know how hard it is to get a win, and he's got 600 of them, 4 national championships. And it has been a historic win. I think we notched more victories this year than we ever have. So great year for them. Hate to see it end, but they'll be back next year bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Harper. That's a big milestone. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're very glad to have him. Hunter, thank you for your input on doing this. You set it up on the ESPN side and did a great job with that. I appreciate you doing that, and I think everybody's having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've been getting messages saying, glad that we did this, and hopefully we have more contests, and we definitely will, especially with this response. So can't wait to see what the future holds with these future contests that we do with Bubba on the Lake.
Okay, we got a lot more to cover. We'll be right back. Thank you for being a part of Bubba on the Lake.
It's Bubba on the Lake. Bubba on the Lake.
Attention business owners, print buyers, and production managers. Guaranteed Labels is here to help you focus less on your printing, labels, and decals, and more on growing your business. Guaranteed Labels, your dependable printer for all types of industries. Quality, on-time shipments, and stock programs set us apart. If you're needing to focus less on your printing and more on your business, trust Guaranteed Labels. 800-741-7055 or GuaranteedLabels.com. Guaranteed Labels, still sticking since 1988.
At Central State Bank, we believe community banking is more than just transactions. It's about relationships. For over 100 years, we've been helping neighbors grow, businesses thrive, and dreams become reality. Because when you bank local, you invest in your community. Central State Bank, large enough to serve you, small enough to know you. Visit us today or learn more at centralstatebank.com. Member FDIC.
You're listening to Bubba on the Lake.
Hit me bad.
A production of Intergalactic Pants and Tees.
All rights reserved.
Hey, folks, we're back, and we're joined by none other than the lovely Betty Lou. Betty, how are you?
I'm very well this morning. How are you?
Well, I'm very good. You look very nice today.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to give you. I'm gonna have to give you a row on that. Huh?
I'm sporting my orange-looking shirt that has Russell Forest Run on it, supporting the. I don't know what I'm supporting. The past Russell Forest Run, I guess. But anyway.
So, March Madness has been a big topic here in the house lately. We've been playing with brackets.
Sure.
We've been watching games. It is that time of year where everybody kind of gets interested in college basketball, but you haven't really been into it.
I love basketball. I've always liked basketball, and I know it a little better than football, so it makes it more fun, to watch.
You do know basketball.
Well, I mean, I know what a 3-point is, a 2-point. I don't know how far you have to be out. You're further out for the 3-point. But anyway.
Well, you announced to me today that you got your bracket ready.
Well, I do.
Now,
it's the second chance bracket. It's not your bracket, but it's the ESPN second chance.
Yeah, because I started to say, we're already done with a lot of it.
I don't care. I mean, whatever. It was on there.
Glad,
it said second chance.
I'm glad. I'm glad you're participating.
I'm all about second chances. Here I am. So, my friend Jen prompted me to do this, by the way. And by the way, she wants me to shout out to Jen because she's 114K of her top one, whatever that means. What does that even mean? I don't know. Anyway, with her little family bracket.
She's 114K
of her top one, whatever. That's supposed to be good.
I don't even know
understand
what that means.
I don't either, but apparently it's really good.
She's 114K of one?
I don't know.
What does that mean?
It's her family. They did a family bracket, which next year we need to do that just for fun. I mean, because.
Well, some of us in the family did one.
Well, I didn't. Y'all didn't tell me we were doing one. I didn't have a chance to choose here. So, all right. So now I'm choosing some people.
Okay.
You want me to tell you who they are?
Yeah, you just go ahead and tell us what you've got there on your notes.
All right,
I'm
here we go.
to see this.
Well, apparently they're playing on March 28th, which is this Friday, right?
Yes.
Auburn versus Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn's number 1, Michigan number 5. I have chosen Auburn. War Eagle. Michigan may beat them. I have no idea, but I've chosen Auburn. So, and then you also have Ole Miss and Michigan State. I like Ole Miss's colors better. I don't care if they're number 6 versus a number 2. I chose Ole Miss. That's why. So y'all just
staying with the SEC, I see.
Yes, I like Ole Miss. Go ahead. What are they? The Sharks now, or whatever something?
Well,
they had to change their whole thing. I don't know.
That one gets a little confusing.
It's a little hotty toddy versus the Shark or something. I don't know. So anyway, in the West. Number 1, Florida plays number 4, Maryland, right? So that's on 3/27. That's coming up Thursday.
Yes.
So I picked Florida in honor of old David Miller around the corner here at the lake. He's a big Florida fan, so shout out to David Miller.
So are you getting paid for these shout outs? Because you've never done a lot of shout outs, and this segment is full of them.
Okay, no more shout outs, folks.
No, I'm just asking. Are you?
No, I'm not getting paid. Jen, David, I'll collect my check later. Just kidding. No, I'm not getting paid. I just happen to think about these people because he loves Florida.
Yeah, they're tied into the various teams. Yeah,
right. So anyway, Texas Tech versus Arkansas. I picked Arkansas just because they just look like they know what they're doing more than I've watched them. You know what I mean? So
you
they
think
might win.
They look like they know
their
what they're doing.
coach looks like he means business, like he's going to give somebody the business.
Now, who
so to
is
speak.
the coach of Arkansas?
I have no idea who he is. He just looks like he knows his business. You know,
just checking.
Don't know. But they're playing Thursday as well. Apparently, a late game.
Can you do the pig call that
Can't
all the
do
Arkansas
it.
people do?
Suey or something like that, isn't it? Is it that?
Yeah, that one. But you didn't do the whole thing.
No, I don't know the rest of it. Suey?
Hair pig. You have to do that.
That's
that's not
Suey.
it. And you got to really.
We played Arkansas in tennis one time. You remember that?
Yeah.
Those girls?
Yeah, and they did that at the end of the match.
They sure did. Yeah, they didn't win though. I don't think. I think we won. But anyway, all right. Duke versus Arizona. Duke's number 1 in the East. Arizona's number 4. I'm picking Duke because they seem to win it all the time. So anyway,
you're stepping out there with some picks.
I know. I would say a shout out to somebody because of that, but I'm not going to because you've already scorned me about it. Mallory Cecil. You remember our girl from Duke that stayed with us? She was competing in one of the USTA championship games or whatever.
Pelham Challenge.
Yeah. So she stayed with us for a little bit.
She
and,
was the
very nice lady.
Yeah, she was the NCAA national champ for singles.
Right. And her mom shares the same birthday as me. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
Mallory's
anyway,
done good. I think she
sure
worked for
has.
the USTA last time I saw her.
Yeah. So anyway, next in the East, number 2, Alabama, 6, BYU, whoever that is. I picked Alabama.
You
just
don't know
'cause
who
it's old home.
BYU is?
Brigham Young. Isn't
Yes,
it Brigham Young?
that's it.
Okay. Yeah. I just didn't want to do a step out over there. They're playing Thursday at 6, it looks like. So I
Now,
picked Alabama.
somebody in this family, and I won't call out any names, asked me if they rode their bikes to the game.
That was not me. So y'all think what you want to think.
Who else do you have?
Houston versus Purdue.
All right.
They're playing Friday, looks like. And I picked Purdue just because I like to say Purdue. I have no idea.
You
who's
like
better.
to say Purdue.
Purdue's just fun to say.
As
Hey,
opposed to Houston.
well, I mean, I thought.
Do you know
why
what the
not?
mascot of
Have no
Purdue
idea.
is?
Have no idea. I
How
didn't
about
look up
Houston?
mascots. I don't know the mascots. No. I know Alabama and Auburn's. That's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, some of them I might guess. And
Look,
guess
you-
right.
you've done-
I did Ole Misses. I said Hottie Toddy or Shark or whatever it is. Now.
Betty, I want to congratulate you for jumping in with both feet on March Madness. I mean,
Well, I'm not
really
finished.
dove into this.
I got one more. Houston.
Okay.
I mean, Kentucky versus Tennessee.
Oh, border
I
clash.
picked Tennessee.
How come?
Well, we have friends that are big Tennessee fans, but
Well,
I'm no
we
longer
have-
allowed to shout out.
No, you can give them a shout out. I just didn't, because you're usually not so shout out heavy, so I didn't know why you were doing
Well, hey,
all that.
Betsy and Tim, I picked Tennessee.
You
Go
have
Vols.
You have
Go
friends
Vols.
in Kentucky.
Volunteers. I know their mascot.
Yep. You
and
have
I
friends
also
in
have
Kentucky,
friends in
too?
Kentucky. I'm sorry, Rocksteady. But anyway, she was one of our babysitters growing up. All right, Rocksteady. Oh, and Peggy, Bertram,
Yeah.
all those folks. Yeah.
So
sorry,
do
y'all.
you know what the mascot of Kentucky is?
Wildcats?
Yep. Good pick.
Okay.
Good guess.
All
Good
right.
guess.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I
So-
remembered Rocksteady's cheerleading outfit.
Yeah.
So yep.
You know, Betty on Sports has a lot of potential, I think.
Hey, I got this. I could figure it out.
You
I mean,
could.
I can read a little and tell you all about it.
So if we start a segment called Betty Say What,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just let it grow into a podcast on its own, what would
Mm-hmm.
be your first segment you would do for Betty Say What? And we could do that next podcast.
I don't know. I kind of doubt it would be sports.
Mm-hmm.
Just considering my,
Well, you said you wanted to talk
Yeah.
Netflix and recipes.
Well, I have several Netflix shows that I've been watching, so I could talk a little bit about that. Most of them I can talk about.
yeah, what are you watching?
Well, actually, it's not Netflix. One of them's on Apple. What was it? Severance? That is the weirdest show, y'all. But
Betty, I don't
you
like
kind
those
of have
weird
to
shows.
get into it, and it's more of a, I don't know, a mystery type thing, suspense, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Really weird. But anyway, I don't
Very
know what
weird.
Ben Stiller was thinking with it, but he's the producer of this.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, love Ted Lasso on Apple, staying with Apple some. But
Can I tell you, I'm going to be an oddball, and maybe I just haven't watched enough. I really never got into the Ted Lasso
I know.
thing.
Well, the
I didn't
language.
think it was that funny.
I love Ted Lasso's character, is why I like that. And here's the
Oh.
dogs, folks.
All right, for all of
UPS
you
guys, right on cue.
for all of you fans of the Barkers, there they
Here
are.
they are.
I think we're going to change
I
your
mean,
last name to Barker.
I may have a segment about puppies. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
well,
might.
you could do that.
So if I listed all the names of the cats and dogs we've had since we've been married, oh my gosh.
Maybe that would be a good segment. You could give each one of them's name and talk about it.
I know another thing, funny stories back when I was a home health nurse. That could pretty much be a show. Because,
Yes.
I mean, y'all, you not believe some of the predicaments you get into. I guess
So-
you do if you've ever done home health.
I guess we'll wrap up this segment due to the
Lovey.
dog barking going on.
Yeah, Lovey is not cooperating.
She's got something cornered over there. Betty, thank you for giving us your insight on March Madness.
All right, well, you're welcome.
Some really step-out picks you've got there in the Sweet 16. We'll be watching those closely this weekend and check in with you next time.
All right, and by then I'll talk to Jen and figure out what that 114K of her top one means. I have no idea. But anyway,
do you
stay
think
tuned, folks.
Do you think that means she's in the top 1% of 114,000
Maybe so.
brackets?
But, yeah, you got to spell it out for me, though. You don't
tell
me to broadcast something and then I don't spell it out.
Well,
so,
I was just letting you kind of take the line and run with it, so to speak.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I did, and here we are.
Lovey's still barking.
Lovey's still barking.
Ruby's being good. She's sitting here being quiet.
Yep, she knows there's a
She
treat
knows
in it.
if she keeps barking, she's going to get to go to the box.
Oh me. So
Betty,
anyway,
thank you for shedding your insight.
Well, I appreciate it. Short and sweet, just like Sweet 16.
It
huh?
is. But listen, still love you.
Well, still
Always.
love you too.
Good. That's a great arrangement. We'll be right back. You're listening to Bubba on the Lake.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We'll be right back.
This is Coke Zero Sugar. Could I be the best Coke ever? Try and taste with your ears. Hear those bubbles? Imagine them tingling on your tongue. Fizzy deliciousness. Listen to that cascading liquid. A mouth-watering waterfall. Irresistibly tasty. Zero sugar. Crisp, refreshing, and ice cold. Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Try and decide.
You know one thing I love about Buffalo Wild Wings? You can get wings with any of their 26 sauces and dry rubs for takeout and delivery. That's like bringing an entire B-dubs home with you, which you can't do. I tried. I've knocked down so many walls, only to then be told to halt construction because I'm not zoned to be a sports bar. Kinda just looks like a big pergola or something because of the lack of walls. At least these 26 sauces and dry rubs are available to go. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
It's Bubba on the Lake. Bubba on the Lake.
All right, folks. You're back on Bubba on the Lake. It's been a very busy show, a little basketball heavy, but it is that time of year. Thank you for being part of all the fun. I hope the dogs wasn't too much, and we will pick up some other topics next time as they become available and are timely for the podcast. Thank you again for being a part of it. We appreciate you listening to us here from the Mellow Yellow Studio, and remind you that our podcast is BubbaOnTheLake.com. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and don't miss anything from the show from our podcast or our social media sites. And I want to remind you to also follow us on Instagram at Bubba on the Lake. Folks, I cannot thank you enough for your support, and we are having a fun time doing this, and I think it will only get bigger and better as we go. So thank you very much, and until the next time we sail into port, we will see you then.
You're listening to Bubba on the Lake.
Hit me bad.
A production of Intergalactic Pants and Tees.
All rights reserved.
This podcast is brought to you in part by Coke, Am First, Buffalo Wild Wings, Southern Immediate Care, Central State Bank, and Guaranteed Labels.
At Central State Bank, we believe community banking is more than just transactions. It's about relationships. For over 100 years, we've been helping neighbors grow, businesses thrive, and dreams become reality. Because when you bank local, you invest in your community. Central State Bank, large enough to serve you, small enough to know you. Visit us today or learn more at centralstatebank.com. Member FDIC.
When you need urgent care, Southern Immediate Care is here for you. Illness doesn't follow a 9-to-5 schedule, so we offer support 7 days a week at convenient locations throughout Birmingham and Northeast Alabama, dedicated to serving all ages from children to adults. Southern Immediate Care offers occupational medicine services, including DOT physicals and testing. At Southern Immediate Care, your health is our top priority. Visit southernimmediatecare.com or call 205-409-2794.